Here we have a Ford Transit Custom, and we installed an Alpine iLX-F115D stereo. What it is, the customer had a standard stereo, and this is what it looked like. And what he wanted was something better than that. So all he had was the basic functions as a stereo, but it doesn't have digital radio, CarPlay, anything like that. So obviously he wanted to upgrade it and modernise his van. So we installed this Alpine stereo. So if you have a look at that. Now this particular stereo is part of the Halo range. And the Halo's been around for a little while, been a couple of years I think. But this particular one is an 11-inch, which is a new stereo. It haven't been launched that long ago. So the normal Halo, when they first come out, they're 9-inch, and even the current model is 9-inch. But this one, they obviously made a bigger screen version. This particular stereo, being 11-inch, is not going to be suitable for all vehicles. On this particular van, it's actually pretty well suited because there's no controls behind the stereo or above it on the side of it. So it's just a void. So having a stereo this size, where it sits, there's no intrusion to the controls. So it's not bad. It's not a bad place for it to be. With certain vehicles, it may not be suitable purely because it may start obscuring heater controls or whatever other controls. So the 9-inch might be the one to go for. But like I said, in this particular van, the 11-inch actually is alright. It's nice. And motorhomes as well, be ideal. Right, let me just turn it on. So if you have a look at it powered up. It's got a lovely screen on this. So if we go into the normal menu. So you have your normal radio and DAB. Obviously the customer needed that as an upgrade. So what I did, instead of putting the windscreen mounted aerial that just basically sits on the windscreen, I did an integrated powered DAB radio, and actually in this instant it actually works better, so I'm actually quite pleased about that. You also have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. The Apple CarPlay is wireless, so you don't need to plug it into the USB port, but with the Android Auto you do have to plug into USB, and what I've done, I've put it in this cubby hold here, so we've got a couple of USB sockets there. So anyone could just put their phone in that pocket and have it all plugged in, so you haven't actually got your phone sort of kicking around, which is probably a good idea. You could also do mirror link if you plug into the HDMI. If you've got a reverse camera, you could attach that to it. That'd be an amazing screen if you did do that. This customer didn't specify that. Also, you can mount a front camera as well, which would be pretty cool on this sort of size screen. So it gives you everything that you need, and when you do plug into the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto, you would you've got connectivity with your Google Maps, Spotify music, whatever platform that you play your music on. But with the Google Maps, it'll give you you've got full sat-nav functionality and on a nice big screen. So the actual installation of it, installing it onto this vehicle, we had to obviously put a whole brand new fascia into it, because as you saw the picture of what the stereo did look like, there's no way that you could actually fit a stereo in that. So that's why this had to be replaced. The actual finish of it matches 100% to the actual finish of the factory trim that this van came with. So it looks very OEM. It doesn't actually look aftermarket. It looks like it's always been there. We also had to do a passenger airbag relocation button purely because that was integrated into the factory stereo. So if you didn't do that, the airbag light would be permanently on, which is not ideal. Yeah, so it's pretty much a finished product. Volume controls, it doesn't have a dial. I know some people do like dials because it's easier. It has a button here to do that. But however, all the steering wheel controls are integrated into it, so you don't have to use it anyway. You just use that. So you have full control, you know, change channels or what have you through that, and answer phone calls. So the next thing that the customer is going to want, which is, you know, a really good idea, which I personally think, is to change the front speakers just to enhance the sound of the quality of the stereo. And obviously sound deadening is probably a essential thing on a van. So yeah, always bear that in mind. Not just replace a stereo, you want to get a fuller sound. So that's the Alpine iLX-F115D stereo installed on this Ford Transit custom van.